DMs, what's the most awesome use of wish you've ever seen? Let us know in the comments below. I have a player who was favored by Ilmater, god of endurance, suffering, martyrdom, and perseverance. Ilmater had appeared to her previously and given her a red thread. He said, "Anytime you want, hold this thread and make a wish, and it will come true." Unknown to her, however, it was actually a test. If she had made the wish for herself out of greed, she'd still have gotten what she wished for, but failed to rise higher in his favor. Well, a few sessions later, the players got into an intense rooftop fight due to the choices they had made earlier in the day. PCs were starting to go unconscious. She was one of only 2 left. On her turn, she looked over at me and she said she held the thread and wished thusly, "I wish for the day to start over." As she had made the wish not for herself but to save everyone else, Ilmater appeared before her, declared her as his chosen, and rewarded her with an oath bow. The session ended there, but I allowed it as she wished, and we restarted the day, essentially erasing a whole session's worth of events, with only her knowing in character what would happen if they made the same choices. So, she had to shepherd them down a different path instead. I was very proud of this because of how cool it was. The party still talks about it even 7 years later, and especially because I had predicted she would not have wished for something greedy, because I, knowing her for so long, knew she was like Ilmater himself, a splendid person who would sacrifice so much for her friends. Ran a 20-level one-shot for some players. One of them cast Wish to become immune to necrotic damage. It was such a fair play that I had no desire to modify it at all. Dude could have killed the dragon right then and there, but he wanted to continue the fight and not hog all the glory. 10 out of 10 player right there. In a previous edition, when it required resources to identify magic items, I gave a low-level party a magic ring. It was randomly generated. The rogue chose to wear it, having no idea what it was, and so I listened carefully. Like 6 or 8 sessions later, the rogue said, I wish I was back home." And he was. His tragic backstory was that he'd been abducted, conscripted, and was across a war-torn continent from his family. He was just adventuring to get the resources to go home and be with them. I offered the player a way out, so he could keep playing the character, and he said something like, "No, this character has done what he wanted to do, it'd feel weird to keep playing him," and rolled a new character. And that replacement bard got up to so many shenanigans. But that's another story. Had a player draw the moon card in the deck of many things and got one wish out of it. They wished that the tragic event in their backstory was undone without undoing their current life or disappearing right here at this moment. Following his wish's wording, I essentially flashpointed him. He had memories of both lives, and as a result, he had access to both paladin spells and bard spells. Also, because you flashpointed him, I think the entire Teen Titan crew is gonna have a bad day. I just got done wrapping up a whole story arc like this. The player who likes to play the big dumb brute type got a luck blade with 3 wishes. First wish was for a never-ending flask. It would always contain an unlimited amount of whatever he put into it. Second was something equally pointless, at least in terms of actual game mechanics and power. Third was he wished he could see his father again. His father disappeared some time ago and he had no idea where he was. Well, maybe a monkey's paw, but in my opinion, not really. His father was the captain of a raiding ship that sailed the astral sea and was trying to overthrow the beholder who ruled over a city that floated in the astral sea. He was captured by Gith and sold as a slave to the city. So he got a tuning fork with a wooden bead that was from the father's ship. They used plane shift, and the next thing they knew, they were on his father's ship. They helped him overthrow the beholder and free the city. My DM gave us a wish scroll as a reward for an early quest. Later in the campaign, we went to Hell, with clear rules regarding fire damage and heat damage every day unless we used minor fire resist potions daily. I was like, no thank you. So I used the wish scroll to give me and everyone and everything that traveled to Hell fire and heat immunity. The DM paused and made sure I was sure I wanted to use this wish scroll on this because it had a chance to fail. Oh yeah, I was sure, because this could benefit us outside of hell as well, since this would be permanent immunity to a damage type. And, well, my DM granted us this. He was actually gobsmacked because he didn't think we would use it on something that, in the long run, was beneficial throughout the rest of the campaign. He was great, and even roleplayed the enemies we battled going forward as if they didn't know we were immune to fire, because how would they know? Best wish I ever made. I had Tatiana visit the players to reward them for rescuing her daughter. Her words were, "What do you wish for?" The players either didn't pick it up or didn't want to monkey paw it. One asked for a cloak of invisibility, and I was strongly considering it, but I said, "So you wish to be invisible to your foes?" Immediately, the player backed out and was like, "Oh, just gold, please." Not the DM in this instance, but I did have a wish granted recently in a very satisfying way, even though it's kinda horrifying. Basically, we're in a large demi-plane alternate timeline that itself exists within the domain of an archdevil who is known as the Mistress of Wishes. We created this alternate timeline without her permission, and it's unstable as fuck. Her domain is called the Dream Churn, and alternate wish timelines are her thing. So she's going around granting wishes to everyone who says, "I wish," as entertainment. Oh no! Now, I accidentally let slip, "I wish I knew what the fuck is happening." So I took some psychic damage and made a save against madness, which I passed. And now I automatically succeed on checks to understand the demiplane we're in and why it's falling apart. Madness for knowledge? A fair trade to any wizard. But even better, I can see the cracks in reality that no one else can. It also means that I can fall through them, so it's an additional hazard for me and me only. I've seen the dream churn, fragments of other timelines, even an alternate version of me peering back at me, jealous of my reality. I can spy on things and make a save, gain forbidden secrets. It's even boosted my minor conjuration ability. And it's generally a brilliant path to take the story down that we can engage with now that I can see it, something that would have been far less interesting otherwise. Absolute genius handling by the DM. The party were completely dead lost, and the big bad evil guy was very close to getting what she wanted. She even got to monologue on them while they were getting floored. Reluctantly, they retreated to an archphase domain who was just as evil as the big bad evil guy, but she did owe the party a favor in the form of a wish. They used the big bad evil guy's monologue to make that wish. They gave her what she wanted, knowing full well that the Archfey would intentionally misinterpret the words. Oh, their final Hail Mary. The big bad evil guy had taken everything from the party, with nothing left to lose. They granted the big bad what she wanted, but in a very twisted way. The world was yeeted into pure chaos, where no one got what they wanted, except the Archfey, who became the new big bad evil guy. The party teamed up with the former big bad to undo all her victories and accomplishments that were twisted into parodies of themselves, which was the rawest accidental redemption arc our table has ever seen. Campaign still ongoing. The Empress was dying, and the players cared very much for the stability of the country. When they found a wish-granting being in a dungeon, they freed it and were rewarded with a single wish. The party used their knowledge of the world's lore to wish for a magic artifact that can cure any illness. They knew it existed because it was part of a group of magical staves with different properties. The party wizard had one of them. It was pretty damn nice to see that they remembered the lore. The staff simply appeared in front of them, and they grabbed it. I've never had a PC use wish for anything not described in one of the bullet points of the spell, so there was never any potential for monkey's pawing. But one time when I was a player, our wizard Simulacrum wished to exempt the wizard from the limit of one sim at a time. As we were all greater deities at the time already, and it was near the end of the module, the DM just went with it, but we agreed to only bring one into the last dungeon. My mid-level party was on the trail of a werewolf known for terrorizing the region they were traveling through. Over the course of this arc, they had met and befriended several of the locals. This party was a group of new players and very much not murder hobos, thank God. They found the werewolf and realized it wasn't just him, but a pack of his progeny. One epic battle later, they've defeated the lycanthropes and headed back into town. Among the spoils, in addition to some well-placed magic items, were story hooks leading to future adventure, as well as more information on the background of this wolf pack. In piecing this information together, they sussed out that one of the kids they had befriended was a child of the leader and, upon reaching maturity, would transform and the cycle would start anew. In trying to find a solution, they learned that the only way to cure a child born into lycanthropy was through a wish. And one party member, unbeknownst to the rest of the party, had been sitting on an item that granted a wish, fearful that she would misuse it and have a monkey's paw situation. However, learning about the boy, without a thought, she used the wish to stop his curse before he aged into it. That campaign is still running, and the boy, who is now an NPC dear to the group, and now a young man, serves the party's fighter. That actually brought a slight tear to my eye. Had a Genasi character whose mother was a noble Jinn. She was wished into existence. She got 3 wishes from her mother that genuinely wouldn't get monkey's pawed. DM definitely had a ton of faith in me there. I'd only used one of them up until the campaign went into forever hiatus. It was used to lift the contract of one of the other PC's backstory friends, as the NPC had been tricked into serving the bad guys. It was really cool though. The NPC was the enemy commander that had been laying siege to our island fort for weeks, trying every dirty trick in the book. We'd just sent some of our troops out for a risky counterattack on their ships. The contract was lifted, and she commanded her own ships to fall for a brutal pincer maneuver, finally ending the siege. I cast Wish a number of times in my game, but it was always to duplicate spells. I figured, especially playing an elf wizard who might live for another 500 years before magic boosted that further, they wouldn't want to risk losing Wish. So, not as exciting as the ones pushing for crazy stuff, but I cast Regenerate on an NPC to regrow a limb. I cast True Strike 2014 version in a sparring match because I thought it was funny to use the most powerful spell in the game to cast the weakest. I cast a few of the ones that create an AoE for a day, like Temple of the Gods, Hallow, etc. Those are fun to slap down on a fight. I cast Find Greater Steed, which was cool to get as a wizard, and a lot of wizard spells work really well with that since they get duplicated. I did also set up a clone that I put in a demi-plane. I did an 8th level heal, I think, since someone was about to die. Hey everybody, Brian Von VA checking in after the vid. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, ring that bell, and let us know in the comments below what's the most awesome use of Wish you've ever seen as a DM, as a player, as anyone. We love you all. Thank you for supporting the channel, and if you wish to continue to do so, make sure to join our membership program. You get early access to videos, and you get to keep the lights on running. Toodaloo.